Now we are going to study time value of money. So what is called time value? Does that mean money has time value? Yes. Time value of money is the concept which says that a value of $1 or any currency to be received in future is less than the value of $1 on hand today. In other words, if I have to receive money from you and you give me today, the value of money today is more than if you promise to give me after 1 year. So there is a time value. Why it is so? Because if I receive money today from you, I can invest the money to generate more money in the form of interest. And another reason, today is certain. If you give me the money, I will have money in my hand. But if you give me 1 year down the line, there would be risk of default risk and inflation. Inflation is the rise in when general price level increase, or the dollar value or rupee value depreciates. So it says money received today or as early as possible is more preferable than money received in future. Yeah. So time value of money, you can ask me, ki Uma, does that mean that money has got present value and it has got future value, which you are saying that future value would be lesser than present value? Does that mean money has past value? The answer is yes. So let's see why it is differing the value from today than in later periods. Primarily, this variation happens because of interest. Yeah, the interest is like, suppose you need money 20,000. I am giving money at the rate of 10% interest to you. And the agreement is you will pay me back after 3 years. So in case of if I charge simple interest, then interest would be calculated uniformly on the original principal throughout the loan period. I am giving you rupees 20,000 at the rate of 10% interest for 3 years. So, year, amount borrowed, interest at the rate of 10%. Now, so in this example, you have promised me that you will pay after 3 years. So 20,000 you have borrowed me. So first year, the interest would be 20,000 into 10%. I will charge you 2,000 interest for first year. Second year also your interest would be 2,000. Third year your interest would be 2,000. So at the end of 3 years, total interest is 6,000. So you have to pay me back 20,000 and 6,000. In the financial parlance, the fancy name of this money what you have borrowed from me, it's called principal. And what charge you have to pay, because what is interest? Interest is nothing but the rent of the money what you have borrowed. Because you are keeping the money for 3 years, so you have to pay rent on that borrowed amount. So that is interest. So at the end of the 3 years, you have to pay me back principal, which originally you had borrowed from me 20,000 and 6,000 interest. So altogether 26,000. Now here interest is charged, as you can see, uniformly on the same amount for all 3 years. So this is called simple interest. Yeah. So this method we will call simple interest. But you know, the catch is in practical life, when you borrow money from bank, any financial institution, anywhere, your insurance company, any debenture, it is not calculated on simple interest. Majority of money lending or money deposit, this happens in compound interest method. So compound interest is one of the very important things to understand in finance. Now, when you are borrowing me 20,000 and I am telling you that I will charge interest at the rate of 10% per annum, it is your responsibility to ask whether it is simple or compound interest, because based on the method changes, your amount of interest to be paid will vary. Let's see how. Let me see same example here. Now we are doing compound interest. Let me write so we would be clear. Now in the first year, borrowed 20,000. First year interest, there would be no difference between these two methods, whether I am charging you simple interest or compound interest. So first year interest would be 2,000. Now total amount including principal and interest would become 22,000. As per compound interest method, your second year, my principal would become 22,000. So what does it mean? 2,000 interest is getting added with the originally borrowed amount, 20,000. So now for second year, my principal would become 22,000. And on the 22,000, I would charge interest at the rate of 10%. So let's see, 22,000 into 10% per annum. Interest 2,200 in the second year. So what does it mean? I am charging interest on interest. How it is? Because 2,000 is sitting now in 22,000, and which is my principal now for the second year, and I am charging interest at the rate of 10% on 22,000. So I am earning interest on interest. So at the end of second year, this amount would be 22,000 plus 2,200, 24,200. So these two become, let me put it in different color, 24,200. So as per compound interest, for the third year, my principal would become 24,200. So second year interest is sitting in the third year's principal. This interest getting added with 22,000 to become the principal amount on third year. What is that principal amount? Now on this amount I will charge third year interest, which is, here it is already, formula is there, that's why it is coming, 24,200 into 10%. So interest is 2,420 and the total amount is 26,620. So let me put another color. So, and how much is the interest? 6620. How much was interest in simple interest method? 6,000. 6,000. And in compound interest method, 6620. What is the difference? Difference is I am paying more interest on compound interest method. In this case, for 20,000 money borrowed for 3 years, I am paying 620 rupees more when interest is being charged on a compound interest method than simple interest. So it does matter. The method does matter. And in all 99% of the practical cases in practical world, interest is charged based on compound interest. In our next video lessons, we will study more compound interest method for the moment. So what we have seen, when the interest accrued during the first year is added to the original principal and the amount so obtained is taken as the principal for the second year. That's what we have done, right? And the amount of this principal at the end of second year becomes the principal for the third year. So in these cases, compound interest, the principal amount is changing year on year. So we need to be careful which method the loan is granted to me. Thank you.